It's the best of the rest. Time to put them to the test. In case your memory is hazy, it's Blaxploitation, baby. This is Black's History Month, a 29-day celebration of Black exploitation films.
Black Gunn. Sounds like a title for a Western film, doesn't it? It's not though, but trust me, we'll definitely be getting to some Westerns later. Black Gunn stars Jim Brown as the owner and proprietor of Gunn's Club, a swanky all-black place that you would think would be the centerpiece of the film, but both Jim Brown and the place somewhat play the background in this movie, which is weird, seeing as the movie is named after them. Yep, Jim Brown is just named Gunn in this movie, and I love his explanation as for why.
That's an unusual name.
It's an old slave name. I had an ancestor who was trusted enough to carry a white man's gun. But the only word that his master ever said to him was, "Gun." You know, if he had been more conversational, I might have been called, "Gimme the gun."
Black Gunn begins like a lot of movies from this era, with a heist. Only this one gets points for being really technical, with alarms being rigged and coordination and stuff. Then there's no telling how long this guy's been working here with this disguise on. Long enough to convince the mob guys counting illegal money in the back that he's somebody completely different. The robbery being so coordinated has an explanation story-wise, because the guys who pulled it off are all former Vietnam veterans, a part of a group called BAG, which stands for Black Action Group. So wait a minute, bunch of Vietnam vets stealing money with their faces concealed? This feels like a better version of the heist from Dead Presidents, only actually successful. Sure, one of the guys from BAG dies in the process, but work with me here. If you're still wondering what this has to do with Gunn, I'm getting there. After the heist, one of the mob bosses, played by Martin Landau, sends one of his goons named Ray to the other side of the tracks to find some answers and get stuff done. A large portion, and I mean a huge portion of the movie, is spent with this guy Ray questioning and intimidating every person he comes across. Translation, every black person he comes across. Well, there is that one white girl he threatens, but it's only because she sleeps with niggas. I kept looking at dude like, where have I seen him before? I took a quick glance at his filmography and nothing stood out. Then looking at his last name, it hit me. Ray is played by Bruce Glover, the father of Crispin Glover, George McFly on Back to the Future. That's why he was so familiar. He looks exactly like him. Now I have to resist the urge to call him McFly the rest of the video. He finally finds himself at BAG, which is led by none other than my man Bernie Casey, who doesn't have a ton of screen time in this, but does a good job nonetheless. Okay, so I know you're still wondering, how does this all tie back to Gunn? It's because the guy who orchestrated the robbery, the guy in the disguise at the beginning, is Gunn's brother Scotty. He's terrified that the mob will find him, so he convinces Gunn to let him stay at his place until things cool down, or he can leave town, whichever comes first. Well, he forgot the third option, which is the mob finding him and hanging him out to dry. It may seem like I'm revealing several heavy plot points, but you got to remember, the movie is called Black Gunn, and it's a full 46 minutes before this happens, and it's the thing that finally springs Gunn into action. Only I use action loosely, because we don't get any proper gunfights until, and I you not, 10 minutes left in the movie. Talk about false advertising, and I think that's my biggest issue with Black Gunn. It's so slow and drags on for so long, with people questioning and intimidating people almost the entire runtime. And that's on both sides of the conflict. One half is spent with the mob tracking down BAG, and the second half is spent with BAG tracking down the mob. If you're both looking for each other, how hard is it for y'all to meet in the middle? Black Gunn fails to play to Jim Brown's strengths, which is being a tough, steely, no-nonsense badass who talks with his fists and his guns. He somehow always finds time to talk with the other gun though. But the more you make him talk with his mouth, the more you take him out of his element. It's not a bad film at all, not by a long shot, but I would never consider it an action movie. The problem with Black Gunn is that they got some actors with some names and decided they were going to try to tell a story, when instead, all it needed to be was a spectacle.